Greetings, YouTube. The Doctor is in. Dr. Urios Papers here coming at you with another commentary on Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you like this video. Hit the like button. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. All right, it is time for another installment of the Doctor Reviews Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And we are going to do another one of our class reviews. This one is the Champion, which Pathfinder 2 changed the name of this class from the Paladin to the Champion. And a Paladin is a subclass of the Champion now. So we're going to try and hit the highlights of this class. We're not going to be able to go over everything because there's a ton of stuff and a ton of choices for this class. Actually, my first Pathfinder 2nd Edition character is a Champion Paladin. I absolutely adore that character. He is awesome, and he is so effective in so many different ways. I give this class an A- rating. The only reason I don't give it as an A is it's not as good as a fighter in a couple of areas, and obviously the fighter is going to get an A if I'm saying that. So. All right, so key ability for the Champion is Strength or Dexterity, because you can have a ranged Champion. You get pretty good hit points, so 10 plus your Constitution modifier. You are trained in Perception, so that does leave open the ability to get Canny Acumen, which will get you expertise in Perception. You are expert in Will and Fortitude saving throws. You're only trained in Reflex. Your skills, you're trained in religion. You're trained in one skill determined by the choice of your deity. So we have to look at the deities for that. And clerics are the same thing, too. We have to look at the deities for that. And then you're trained in a number of additional skills equal to 2 plus your intelligence modifier. So they're not skill monkeys like possibly like wizards or rogues are. They are trained in simple, martial, and unarmored attacks. Trained in all armor and trained in unarmored defense, and the Champions are the tank of the of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So they get the best trainings and can achieve the best trainings in armor, and we'll see that. So they're trained in their class DC. They're trained in divine spell attacks and trained in divine spell DC. So they can get some spells, and they get some focus spells as well. Which is something the fighter does not get. So, and we're going to talk about that. So, here's their Champion advancement table. They do start with a Champion feat at first level. You know, that's different than, say, like the last class that we looked at, which was the Bard. And then they get one at first level, second level, fourth level, sixth level, and then so on. They obviously start with the ancestry background, initial proficiency. They start with the Champion's Code, which is a code of conduct that they have, and they give you the tenets of good, because Champions are either lawful good, chaotic good, or neutral good, and you see that over here under deity and cause, and your cause or your alignment drives what your character can do, kind of the basic premise of the abilities of that character. So there's certain things that you can and cannot do because of that, and you have to read through these very carefully. So there are 3 subclasses that you get under your deity and cause, which you see right here, deity and cause. And those are Paladin, Redeemer, and Liberator. So if you're going to be a lawful good, and the Paladin I have is a lawful good Paladin. He's a lawful good, so he is a Paladin. And with that, he gets Retributive Strike and Lay on Hands as a devotion spell, which is a focus spell. Redeemers are neutral good. They get Lay on Hands and Glimpse of Redemption, which is a reaction. These are all reactions, by the way. And the Liberator, which are chaotic good, gets Liberating Step, reaction, and Lay on Hands. And then they've got some things that they have here. So you must act with honor, never taking advantage of others, lying or cheating. You must respect lawful authority, blah blah blah. So there's certain things, there's certain parameters that you have to act within. Those are good, like role playing things. Deific Weapon you get, I could do without this. This is actually one of the really kind of dumb features of the champion, and I don't think anybody really uses this. So you zealously bear your deity's favorite weapon. If it's uncommon, you gain access to it. So the only uncommon choice that we have on pages 437 to 444, which are the deity's weapon. So if we go through these, Abadar, crossbow, not uncommon. Mace, not uncommon. Whip. The only one I think that is the spike chain for Zon-Kathan, and that's a lawful evil god. So we won't be worshiping a lawful evil god. So Deific Weapon is not that great. And so if it's a simple weapon, you increase the damage die by 1 step. But I do point out that champions are trained in martial weapons, and so martial weapons generally have dice that are higher tiered than the simple weapons. This is not great, and I've never really seen anybody that uses a champion ever use this. So I mean, it could happen. If you have any wild conceptions about how to use this, put them in the comments. All right, so the champions' reactions. These are the kind of the bread and butter of the champions. Where fighters get an attack of opportunity, because not everybody gets one of those. They get it automatically. The champion gets a reaction that's kind of different than attack of opportunity. So if you are a paladin, you get Retributive Strike, which means an enemy damages your ally and both are within 15 feet of you. So you protect your ally, you reduce the damage. They gain resistance to all damage against the triggering damage equal to 2 plus your level. So I've got an 8th level paladin, it's almost 9th level. 8th level paladin, which means that I subtract 10 off of that with my reaction, which is great. And then if they're within reach, I make a strike against them, and I normally am on my horse with a lance, so they're gonna get speared. In my opinion, Retributive Strike is the best one of these. The next one is Glimpse of Redemption. So it's the same thing. Your ally gets damaged and by an enemy, and they're both within 15 feet of you. The foe gets to choose whether the ally is completely unharmed, or they gain resistance to the triggering damage equal to 2 plus your level, and then after that they are enfeebled until the end of its next turn. So enfeebled, which is a pretty okay thing, they're enfeebled 2, which means they take a -2 to strength-based rolls and DCs, including melee attacks, strength-based damage rolls, and athletics checks. So I mean, I've never seen an enemy choose, and as a DM, I would never choose this. I'd take the -2. I'd take the -10 to damage and then the -2 to strength. This is probably the middle one. Liberating Step is probably the worst out of the 3. So same thing, an enemy damages, grabs, or grapples your ally and both are within 15 feet. You free an ally from restraint. If the trigger was an ally taking damage, the ally gains resistance to the triggering damage. The ally can attempt to break free of effects of grabbing, restraining, immobilizer, or paralyzing them. So this is good against like undead that paralyze and things like that. So you can get them to redo their saving throw or to do an escape check as a free action. And then if they can move, they can step as a free action, which means they can like step away. That's okay. I don't think that's fantastic. Both of these are kind of equal. Retributive Strike is always the one I go for. And then we get devotions. You get a devotion spell. So you get your 1 focus point. And devotion spells, which are, I mean, you start with the devotion, which is lay on hands. That's your first one, is always lay on hands. So let's take a look at lay on hands. So the champions focus devotion spells start here. So lay on hands is an action. It's healing. Your hands become infused with positive energy, healing a living creature or damaging an undead with a touch. If you use your lay on hands on a willing living target, you restore 6 hit points. If the target is one of your allies, they also gain a +2 status bonus to AC for 1 round. This is pretty awesome. Against undead, you deal 1d6, and they must attempt a fortitude save, or they take a -2 penalty to their AC. And this is heightened, so this is first level. So when you're able to cast second level spells, then it goes up. So that's third level, and so forth. The amount of healing increases by 6, and the damage dealt to undead goes up by d6. So this actually turns into a lot of healing. And it's a focus spell, so you can do this once an encounter, essentially. Which is great. You can heal and then give them a bonus to their armor class. Or you can do damage to undead, but you can do more damage to undead with your weapons. You can only hold 3 focus points at a time. You get your champion feats. You get shield block, which is not the same thing as raise a shield. This allows you to, if you have your shield raised, it allows you to take damage into the shield itself. But I have a tendency not to do that. Or you just carry around a bunch of kind of okay shields and they all get broken. And then you get skill feats. You get your divine ally at 3rd level. So there's the blade ally, which you infuse your weapon with one of these things: disrupting, ghost touch, returning, or shifting. You also gain the weapon's critical specialization effect. So if you crit, you get that effect that goes along with it. Shield ally, a spirit protection dwells within your shield. So this is for the tanky champion. And in your hands, the shield's hardness increases by 2, and its hit points and broken increase by half. And then Steed Ally, and I took a Steed Ally for my Paladin. So you gain a young animal companion as a mount. Ordinarily, your animal companion is one that has the mount special ability, such as a horse. You can select a different animal companion with the GM's discretion, but this ability doesn't grant it the mount special ability. I took a horse. So we took the horse, and I think that's on this page here. And we took the horse right here. So, and the horse gets, you add momentum to your charge until the start of your next turn. If you move at least 10 feet on the action before your attack, add a circumstance bonus to the attack equal to twice the number of damage dice. So if you're doing 2 damage dice, then you add a circumstance bonus of 4 to the damage. If your weapon already has the jousting weapon trait, which is what a lance has, increase the trait's damage by 2 per die instead. So you can really rack damage up with that. And I have a horse and I have a lance, and I do quite a bit of damage with that. And all in all, I would say all of these are pretty equal. The only thing that makes the Blade Ally one decent is the fact that you get the crit specialization effect. The Shield Ally one doesn't do you any good if you don't have a shield, of course. And then this is more or less the attack one. So we get general feats, things like that. And so the one thing that the champion gets, they get weapon expertise at 5th level, which I think is about the same as the fighter. They do get armor expertise at 7th level, so they become experts in their training in their armor. And they are the only ones that get legendary armor, which means they get legendary training. Now they get Divine Smite, which I have not gotten yet. So you surround evil targets with a punishing halo. If you hit with your Retributive Strike, the target takes persistent damage good damage equal to your Charisma modifier. Each one of these does damage. So the Redeemer, a foe that responds to your climps by dealing damage takes persistent damage. And then the Liberator, you punish a foe who ensnares. If the trigger ally was using any effect to make your ally grabbed, restrained, immobilized, or paralyzed, then it takes persistent damage. This doesn't seem to come up very much. You get some bonuses to saves. You get Exalt at 11th level, so Retributive Strike. Now, this is really powerful. When you use Retributive Strike, each ally within 15 feet of you with the target in their melee reach can spend a reaction to strike at a -5 penalty. That is awesome. The Redeemer, you apply resistance granted by glimpse of to all allies within 15 feet. So that could be something for like a fireball or something like that. And then Liberator, you can help your whole group get into position when you use Liberating Step. If your ally doesn't attempt to break free of an effect, you and your allies within 15 feet can step. That's 5 feet. That's not that great. The best one out of this is for the Paladin. Let's take a look at some of the feats that we get. So there's Paladins can take ranged reprisal, which means they can use a ranged weapon with their Retributive Strike. So you can have a bow Paladin now, which is pretty cool. In addition, if the foe that triggered your reaction is within 5 feet of your reach, but not in your reach, as part of your reaction, you can step and put the foe within your reach. So that's pretty cool, too. So if you got a sword and they're 10 feet away instead of 5 feet away, which means they're not in reach, you can step up and blast them. Unimpeded step for the Liberator. So their step is unaffected by difficult terrain, which isn't that great. And then weight of guilt. Guilt clouds the minds of those who ignore your glimpse of redemption. Instead of making the trigger a creature enfeebled, you can make it stupefied for the duration. And stupefied is probably better than enfeebled. Let's take a look at that. You take a penalty equal to this value on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, so it's mental instead, including will saves, spell attack rolls. So this is useful against spellcasters. That's pretty much where that goes. At 2nd level, you can take Divine Grace, which gives you a +2 circumstances to saves, or you can take one of these oaths. I took the Shining Oath, and each one of these allows you to do extra damage to a certain type of creature, like dragons, fiends, and undead. It also comes with some tenets that you have to follow, which can be a little restrictive. So, and each one of these is based off of your reaction. With the Retributive Strike, you get +4 damage against undead, or +6 if you have a master proficiency with the weapon you're using. You can take a Vengeful Oath. At 4th level, there's Aura of Courage, Divine Health, or Mercy, which this gives some resistances to frightened conditions. This goes on top of your Lay on Hands. At 6th level, you can take an Attack of Opportunity, which fighters get for free at 1st level. Or you can take a Litany, which is another focus spell. I took this. You can increase your horse. I have not taken this yet, but I probably will. So this makes your horse bigger. The mount you gained through the Divine class feature is now a mature animal. In addition, your mount never attacks you, even if it is magically compelled to do so. Or you can take Shield Warden. This is for folks that have Divine Ally Shield. There really wasn't one for the weapon. Smite Evil. That's the one. So when you raise your shield, you can cause shield block reaction when an attack is made against an ally adjacent to you. If you do so, the shield prevents that ally from taking the damage. So instead of protecting you, you protect your ally. And then Smite Evil. Select one foe until the start of your next turn. Your strikes with the weapon your blade ally inhabits against deal an extra 4 good damage, increasing to 6 if you have mastery. If the foe attacks one of your allies, the duration extends to the end of that foe's next turn. If the foe continues to attack your ally, the duration continues. So this can last forever because of that. It does take an action. I did take Litany against Wrath, which is, I like to have these things that punish. I have the Retributive Strike, which punishes, and I also have this, which this is going to be on 387. Here it is right here, Litany Against Wrath. So it takes an action. It's 30 feet. Your litany rails against the sin of wrath, punishing the target for attacking good creatures. They got to make a will save, and a particularly wrathful creature, such as a wrath demon, uses the outcome 1 degree of success worse than the result of its saving throw. Then the target becomes temporarily immune to your litanies for 1 minute. So if they fail, each time the target uses an action that deals damage to at least 1 good creature, the target takes 3d6 good damage. This lasts for a round. The first time the target uses an action that deals damage, if they succeed the saving throw, they take it. So this is 1 attack. This is all their attacks for a round. If they critically fail, they're enfeebled 2, and each time they use an action to deal damage to at least 1 good creature, they take 3d6 damage. This is heightened, and so this will add another d6 on. So this can really stack up. If you got a creature that walks up and it does 3 attacks, and it's heightened, it does up to, like, I think right now mine does 4d6. Each time the target uses an action to deal damage. So they have to deal damage, but once they deal damage, if they hit 3 times, they're taking 12d6 damage, which is just awesome. So I like to do the punishments. And you get another focus point with this too. I also did take the deity's domain, so you can pick one of the focus spells from your deity. And I have Zeal because I worship Iomedae. And so those actually can be very useful. And then I took Advanced Deity's Domain because you get Weapon Surge and Zeal for battle. So Weapon Surge is, I have 2 focus points, so I can use a couple of these things, this and Litany Against Wrath. So Weapon Surge is right here, so you get a +1 status bonus attack roll, and the weapon deals an additional damage of dice. Costs an action. If the weapon has a striking ruin, it's just 1 extra die, up to a maximum of 3. And then the Zeal for the battle is the one I really want. So it's a reaction. You stoke the righteous anger within you, yourself, and your ally. You and the target each roll a d20 and use the higher result of both of your initiative rolls. You each still use your own perception modifier, so you can share it with one other person, which I think is just awesome. That's a really good power. And so on and so forth, up to 8th level. So all in all, I give the Paladin can do a ton of damage. And it's not going to seem like they do a lot of damage on their turn, but it's when they punish, especially with the retributive type of attacks, it's when they punish they start to really, really stack up damage. And I do like charging on the horse a lot. So, all right, that's what I got for you today. I hope everybody appreciated and enjoyed it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like button, and I will catch everybody else later.